Today I'm going to talk very briefly about time travel and just how I don't think it's actually possible, at least traveling into the past. Future time travel, I think with like relativity, which the general assumption is that if you're moving a lot faster than things around you, then you're experiencing time at a slower rate than everyone else. So assuming we could somehow, for extended period of time, live in some sort of shuttle that travels at close to the speed of light, then if we sit on there for about a year, we can hop off and boom, you've just technically time traveled God knows how many years into the future, 100,000, 50. However, time travel into the past, I mean, obviously there's those obvious paradoxes. Let's say you travel into the past and prevent your grandparents from meeting by killing them. Those paradoxes are technically possible, assuming you have already set foot in the past. Then therein lies that possibility. And then there's that other assumption that everything's already predetermined in time. So everything's predetermined in the past. So even if you traveled into the past and tried to prevent that, something has in effect stopped you from killing your grandparents because you're living proof of that. And therefore it's almost like everything is already predetermined. And so because of your existence, nothing can prevent your parents from meeting each other in the past. However, then there's those other theories where it's like, what's that show called, Back to the Future, where you go to the past and then you sort of you alter it and then people disappear, and so it's sort of like a linear progression, which doesn't make sense. It's more so like it's like the effects follow you about. So whatever you immediately do in the past, until that moment you do it, nothing else happens until then. So it's not really a predetermined thing. It's sort of like we're going along with it, and if you screw something up in the past, then boom, everything that was made in the future has now changed in accordance with that. But my main point is it has to go along with the butterfly theory, which I think is called a butterfly effect, where there's that idea that like a butterfly flapping its wings on one side of the world will eventually cause disturbances like a hurricane on the other side of the world, simply by the atoms and particles that the butterfly is moving. And it's implying that even the smallest of effects can change something on the macro scale over the long run. And so there have been sci-fi stories done about this, taking the butterfly effect into account, where time travelers go into the past, they alter one thing, they step on a butterfly, and that changes the future dramatically once they return, to a point where it's like, holy crap, the English language is no longer the English language we knew. And so I mean, it makes logical sense, because if you think about it, even the death of a butterfly, a single butterfly, on a long time horizon scale, can cause macroscopic effects. I mean, that butterfly over thousands of generations into the future will produce millions of descendants, and those descendants have a dramatic effect. Maybe one of those butterfly descendants may have some sort of influence or inspirational influence on a prominent English author, or lack thereof if that descendant no longer exist. Or if you look at it another way, that butterfly descendant may cause a disturbance, maybe just a momentary disturbance, such as a flying in front of your eyes and distracting you for a second, which will cause possibly one wasted second of your life but that delay may have saved your life in the future or caused you to stumble downstairs or do something different in the future that can imply a dramatic amount of possible universes that have now been eliminated because of this butterfly. Maybe you that butterfly flies across your face, you get irritated, and then it causes a brief stumble in the next few seconds, which causes you to bump into this one person, and that event causes you to decide to go left instead of right as you normally do for whatever reason, and so forth. You can extrapolate numerous scenarios. I mean, in my personal experience, this has in fact happened. Like very subtle effects have caused me to take one route left versus one route right, such as a pretty girl I spot in the distance, and because that effect has later on down the line caused me to bump into numerous people, which has caused me to talk to them, which has caused me to stay in a certain building and study rather than what I would usually do, which would be across campus and study in that library. But since I went this way, met these friends, they brought me here, boom, boom, boom. As you can see, small subtle effects can cause a macroscopic scale. However, my theory is that it doesn't even have to take something as large as a butterfly, something as much smaller as just a small change in the orientation of atoms or bacteria or a virus can cause such results as well. So what about just the movement or the push of air particles around you? The mere presence of a person from the future in the past would cause a disturbance in the original position of the air particles and atoms around that area, push them into places that they shouldn't be. Now, the question is, what is so wrong with this? What is so important about simple air particles? Well, first off, air is not simply 100% oxygen. There's nitrogen and other compounds, and there's also very small percentages of small compounds. Did you know that when you walk into a restroom and you smell that disgusting smell, whether it's poo or pee or trash, the only reason you can smell that is because particles directly from that substance have come off that substance, gone into the air, dispersed, and some small percentage, some small amount of atoms from that source has made its way up your nose so that you can detect it. It's kind of sick, but it's true. I mean, if you're smelling that disgusting smell, that a part of it from that source has in effect gone into your body. I know. So, long story short, if such a small atom is displaced, it can cause a dramatic change. So honestly, this doesn't really disprove the fact that you can't really travel into the past, but it does, at the end of the day, show you that even the smallest of disturbances can cause a dramatic effect on other individuals and society in the long run. The smallest thing, a hand gesture, a video on YouTube, could create dramatic ripples. But my theory is that the ripple is not like a ripple in a pond where you drop something like a stone and it ripples out uniformly at the same shape and distance. I think certain areas will have dramatic effects, and they're accelerated just based on how they take that experience. Yeah, I guess the only thing I really proved or somewhat supported is the fact that a lot of things have a huge effect on a lot of people, and those have a huge effect on everything else, and from the every breath you take to every movement you make, everything you buy, to every person you talk to, can in effect lead to possibly dramatic changes in the wrong one. Not in the long run, not always, but potentially. So that's all I got to say, and let me know in the comments if you wanted to talk about anything, or you have your opinions. And as always, like, favorite, comment, and subscribe for more.